Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 22, KJV. The Lord Yahweh Shema Shah shall smite thee with the consumption, and with the fever, and with the inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is underneath thee shall be iron. The Lord Yahweh Shema Shah shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down unto thee, till thou be destroyed. NLT verse 22. The Lord Yahweh Shema Shah will strike you with wasting diseases, fever, inflammation, and scorching heat and drought, and with blight and mildew. These disasters will pursue you until you die. The skies above will be as unyielding as bronze, and the earth beneath will be as hard as iron. The Lord Yahweh Shema Shah will change the rain that falls on your land into powder, and dust will pour down from the sky until you are destroyed. All praises to Yahweh, by Shema Shah, Bahara Kakadash, the honest, the elders, and the apostle of the great millstone, Shalom to the hopeful elect that seeking to be the elect of the nation of Israel. They're scattered abroad amongst the heathen, some of them got the heathen, we with the 144,000, preachers, teachers, and prophets, Shalom. And you see, is going to Yahweh Shema Shah, bringing forth drought, diseases, ailments, and contaminated crops with blight and mildew. All right? Now you get the term mildew. Where is it? I'm sorry. Verse 22. You get the term mildew. Blight goes into scorched heat. All right, and these things are going on. Now, mildew goes into pretty much paleness contamination. Paleness, lividness. See Strong's definition. Paleness, whether of persons from fright or of plants from drought. Greenish yellow. So you see the cause and effect, man. Prophecy. All right, the drought, you know, it's contaminating the crops. Change the colors, contaminating the crops. You know, all this flooding, contaminated waters rising. You know, contaminating the crops. All of that. Now you get the root word for mildew. I want the Strong's definition. It says in the sense of vacuity of color, properly pallor, i.e. hence the yellowish green of young and sickly vegetation. Concretely vendor, i.e. grass or vegetation, grass, green thing. So you see how about Shema Shah is contaminating, poisoning the crops. All right? And I typed in mildew of crops being eaten by humans cause you to die. It says, yes, certain crops of mold and fungi that grow on food crops produce powerful poisons called mycotoxins or ergot alkaloids that can sicken and kill humans if eaten in sufficient quantities. You see that? You see? It says dangerous fungi and toxins. Ergot, I'm not going to even try it. A fungus that replaces green kernels in rye, wheat, and barley with dark growths. Eating contaminated flour historically caused ergotism, St. Anthony's fire, leading to gangrene, loss of limbs, convulsions, and death. Aflatoxins, toxic and cancer-causing compounds found on poorly stored corn, peanuts, and nuts. High accurate doses can cause severe liver failure and death. Fusarium toxins, molds on damp or outwintered cereals that produce dangerous compounds linked to fatal conditions like alimentary, toxic, leukemia. So you see the harmful and deadly effects of the mildew of crops. Now you got this going on right here. Let's see. I got the video on it. I got the video on it. One for before we get there, this is the time we in. This is the time we in. Revelation. So you see the cause and effect of drought, all of that stuff, man. And this is the time we in. All right, and you best believe Esau's hands are in it as well. And don't forget, they cut back staffing and everything, so things are not being tested, things are not being cleaned properly. This is the cause and effect of prophecy. 2nd Esdras, chapter 9. Right? We're in the time of the endings of effects and signs. Revelation chapter 6 and 8. It's the time of the pale horse. We're in that season, and it's going to get worse. I looked up and saw a horse whose color was pale green. Its rider was named Death, and his companion was the grave. And yet Esau, everything he does leads to death. These two were given authority over 1/4 of the earth to kill with the sword and famine and disease and wild animals. And this is the time we're in. This is the season that we're in. All right? As you just saw in the clip with Kim Iverson, when the time with your speech, let's get all this off. I think that's what it is. Let's get it real quick. We're going to get back to the main video, y'all. Matter of fact, let's hold off. Let's go ahead and get the main video.
Instant happiness is here at Rent-A-Center. You could get instantly approved for up to $4,000.
CBS News has
Farm linked to cyclosporiasis outbreak has not been inspected since 2019. Now, this could lead to them pulling food off the shelves, which is going to lead to even more of a famine, shortages of the goods on the shelves, and higher prices. All right, we're going to see what they're going to do. But that's what they should do, if it's really going on. But hey, all we got to do is stay prayed up in the names of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, the names of Yahweh Shema Shai. As a matter of fact, Yahweh Shai said, if we eat and drink poison, we should not be harmed. It's in the gospel. Hold on now. How I go? If we eat, it's a loop. Damn, how does it go? Let me type it in. Mark 16 and 18, throughout the Yahweh Shema Shai. The book of Mark, chapter 16 and verse 18. Because, hey, it's by Yahweh Shema Shai's grace and mercy that we're not consumed, man. You know, because all this stuff trash, as it reads in Ezekiel, the 4th chapter. Our food shall be defiled amongst the Gentiles. And this is the only captivity where that has happened. You know, bunch of chemicals and processed food, all this stuff fake. That's why everybody got cancer. Mark 16, and now let's start at 15. And he said unto them, Go ye, Yahweh Shai speaking, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature, to every Israelite. All right, that's scattered amongst the nations. So I'm looking like the nation. It says, He that believeth and is baptized, submerged by this word, shall be saved. Only Israelites. But he that believeth not shall be damned. 2/3. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name, Yahweh Shema Shai, shall they cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues, meaning being bilingual, talking, speaking in different languages. And brothers doing that, man. All right, brothers casting out devils in the names of Yahweh Shema Shai. It says they shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. So you see, brothers are healing men, women, and children first and foremost by teaching His word and by anointing them, praying over them, and healing them. You know, things are happening. All right, just because brothers ain't doing videos on it, don't mean it ain't happening, man. Brothers can go into the videos that concerning these things. You know. So you see, if we drink any deadly thing, we shall not be hurt. You know? So all we got to do is pray over this stuff, man. You know? Like it says, is that Romans? Not Romans. Romans 14 is one. It's another one. I think it's James or John. You know? Lord made all things. There is no creature that's unclean. Meaning of the lawful foods. Matter of fact, let's get there, because you Christians retarded. Let's get it real quick. This is... Let me see. Let's see, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, 1 Timothy 4:4. The water of Shema Shai. It says, For every creature of God Yahweh is good, and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving. It says, For it is sanctified by the word of God Yahweh and prayer. You see? So it's sanctified, set apart, made holy in prayer. This is of the clean foods that we are allowed to eat, not the unclean food. It says, If thou put the brethren in remembrance of these things, thou shalt be a good minister of Yahweh Shah Mashiach, nourished up in the words of faith and of good doctrine, whereunto thou hast obtained. You see? So, hey, matter of fact, yeah, that's it. You know, let's start at verse 3. I'm sorry, 1 Timothy 4:3. Forbidding to marry, verse 2. Speaking lies, you gotta start at 1. Let's start at 1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with the hot iron, forbidden to marry, and commanded to abstain from meats, which God Yahweh has created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. You see? It's all about believing and knowing the truth. For every creature of God Yahweh is good, and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving. For it is sanctified by the word of God Yahweh and prayer. And that's the foods that we are allowed to eat according to the dietary law. So hey, all we got to do is pray over this stuff, man. You know? Yahweh Shema Shah got us. Now, that ain't say that, hey, you know that you can literally see it and you just go diving in and eating like, I'm good. Man, nah. Don't tempt the Lord. Hey, if you don't see it, you know, you clean it thoroughly. Hey, it may be contaminated. Hey, just pray over it in the name of Yahweh Shema Shah and believe and eat it. You can be all right.
Mom said an art degree wouldn't pay. Look at me now.
I'm Dr. Carrie Steiner, and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I've learned that when you're working...
CBS News has learned the Mexican...
Again, farm linked to cyclosporiasis outbreak has not been inspected since 2019. So things are most definitely getting worse, man. You got to stay prayed up in the name of Yahweh Shema Shah.
CBS News has learned the Mexico lettuce farm connected to the cyclosporiasis outbreak has not been inspected by American regulators in 7 years. The FDA conducted just under 1,000 foreign food safety inspections in 2025. That is way below the standards set by Congress. Now, put that into perspective. There are about 47,000 foreign manufacturers sending food to the U.S. A CBS analysis found since 2023, the FDA has inspected less than 5% of them. The 2019 inspection of Taylor Farms in Mexico found no violations. I wanted to bring in Dr. Callie Keneal, the chair of the Microbial Food Safety at the University of Delaware, and she joins us live. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us. Can you walk us through this process? 7 years seems like a really long time when it comes to food safety.
Yes, thanks for having me. And I understand that that is shocking to consumers. Prioritization really of FDA resources and state regulatory resources as well has always been a challenge. You know, FDA field offices have to be able to handle inspections and appropriate testing as necessary in terms of recalls and outbreaks. And as you just mentioned, even during inspection, nothing problematic might be found. So really, the main goal of food safety is prevention and risk mitigation. Testing alone and inspections alone, just like audits, will not improve food safety or decrease contamination. It's really important, especially now as we're all talking about this more, that companies come together and recognize best practices for those comprehensive preventative food safety programs.
You know, a lot of us are going to the grocery store, though, and thinking twice about the produce we're putting in our carts. How do we know if the produce is safe? It's not always clear where the fruits and veggies are coming from. And is there anything we could be doing at home to help prevent some of these issues?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's wonderful that now consumers think about what they're doing in their own homes specifically. You know, be the best stewards for our own food safety. Please continue to buy fruits and vegetables. They are one of the most nutritious things that we can eat. We really, we don't want to avoid those, especially at this wonderful time of the year when we have so many fresh fruits and vegetables. Wash your fruits and vegetables. If you're buying a whole head of lettuce, pull off those outer leaves, discard them, and then wash the rest. If you're purchasing a bagged product, the best practice really still is recommended that you do not rewash those products, because your sink may likely be more dirty compared to what's coming out of that bag. Now, when it comes to products with a peel, those are great to purchase, something that you can scrub and then remove that peel. If you're immunocompromised, on chemotherapy, right? If you're taking care of your older parents or grandparents, it's a great time to help them with these products. Maybe cook fruits and vegetables rather than consume them raw if you're really concerned. I think that there's so many different products that are out there for us, and most of them are really safe. We don't see a huge number of these outbreaks like we're seeing right now, and we have to trust that the companies that are providing these products to us that are in the marketplace are doing their due diligence. In most cases, this is true.
I'm curious, doctor, if folks who are really concerned out there, maybe they do have an immunocompromised person living in their home, is it safer to buy from, say, a farmer's market, a smaller farmer?
There is lower risk when you don't have a product that gets distributed to many places. That's really the key there, that's coming straight from the farm to you. It doesn't mean it's completely absent of potential for risk or contamination, but you definitely have a reduced risk there, and it's wonderful to support our local growers.
Okay, I want to pivot to another story we're following. Health officials are proposing new rules about new ingredients or additives when it comes to processed or prepackaged food. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. says parents should not need a chemistry degree to understand what their children are eating. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
First, we're overhauling the generally recognized as safe and the GRAS standards. For that and the entire GRAS framework, we're proposing a rule that would end the practice of companies making GRAS determinations. Second, alongside my friend and colleague, Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins, we submitted for final review the federal government's first definition of ultra-processed foods. These two actions will change how the federal government oversees what's in our food and how we understand the foods that Americans eat.
So how will these changes impact what we're eating? And I'm curious, does the food that doesn't follow these rules that's maybe now on the shelves, will that immediately come off the shelves?
So it's going to be a timeline, certainly, and it's really going to affect companies, not necessarily consumers. But I hope that consumers recognize that these additives that are in foods have all had to meet a standard of reasonable certainty of no harm. And it's the dose that's really critical. And so then it comes to our choices as consumers and how much of something we might eat. The review that's going to be proposed here is going to look at a mandatory notification system for food additives. So we'll see some changes in ingredients like we're starting to see with colors, for example. But it's going to be interesting to see how this rolls out and how food companies are able to deal with this and how quickly they're able to respond.
Dr. Callie Conneal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So you see, just all together how bad this food is. And when you get that Ezekiel 4, our food shall be defiled amongst the Gentiles. You see? And they're right. You should not need a degree to read these labels. You know? Because they shouldn't be in there. You shouldn't have to look these words up, man. All right? Which the more ingredients, you all these words, 30 letters, you already know it's poisons and chemicals. You know? Hey, we know what and what not to do, man. Things just getting worse. It's time to get up out of here. And hey, how about Shema Shah said, hey, he's going to shorten the days for the elect say, if not, there shall no flesh be saved. So continue to be on the lookout, stay in the spirit, stay prayed for names and how about Shema Shah. And pray, watch, pray and fast, man. Again, stay prayed for names and how about Shema Shah. Shalom.